the 28th of July. Beer and soup are bombing St. Petersburg and Moscow.
Your SA?
Blow it up, fuck. Fuck, hit it, come on. What are you doing?
Damn.
Muscovites are weeping. The center of Moscow is exploding.
It's flying right above us.
Collapse in Moscow and St. Petersburg. More than 600 drones are attacking Russian cities.
Oh!
This is the kind of horror that's happening here. It's been burning for 20 minutes already. I don't see a single fire truck, not a single person. Not a single person. Shouldn't there be an evacuation or something? This is terrible. And what if everything blows up here now?
Vizu are attacking Moscow, St. Petersburg, and strategic nuclear airfields. Oh, yeah. Somewhere right nearby.
Could you please tell me, with as much detail as possible, the precise location and trajectory of the object that is currently in the process of flying over this specific area right here?
60,000 Muscovites are stranded in airports without power, communication, or internet. Moscow, St. Petersburg, and 30 cities across Russia. For more than a day now, without pause, we have been attacking Moscow and the regions.
Whoa, the smoke is fucked up.
Collapse in Moscow airports. More than 200 flights have been cancelled. Muscovites are panicking, there are tears, no food, cafes and ATMs are closing. A stampede has started.
I've been trying for a whole day to communicate properly, to call, to offer help. It's just not working out. Not even the airport is talking.
Sheremetyevo and Pulkovo are paralyzed. There are IT system failures in Moscow airports. Hackers claim 7,000 Aeroflot servers have been destroyed.
Breaking news, friends. And Russia is exploding.
In the city, in the center of Moscow. Well, first of all, that's not the center.
At this very moment, airfields are burning. The runways are littered with the wreckage of Su-34S and Su-35S. Whoa, holy shit. That's fucking wild. Moscow and St. Petersburg are paralyzed. More than 200 flights have been delayed. Crowds, gridlock, shouting, panic at the airports.
Moscow, St. Petersburg, the Moscow region, and the Leningrad region were subjected to a massive drone attack last night. At the airports in St. Petersburg and Moscow, there's a crush, panic, gridlock, and chaos. More than 200 flights have been delayed. They haven't been able to take off for a whole day, like 6 times already.
There's a communications outage across the whole country. Mobile internet is down. Because of Russian electronic warfare, drones are attacking Moscow and St. Petersburg. Trains are at a standstill. Oh!
12 missiles attacked the Kerch Bridge in the Leningrad region. A series of massive explosions. A strike on the Engulfed 2 nuclear airbase. The strategic aviation base has been attacked. Aviation bomb depots are exploding. This is the work of the SPU, GER, and the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Special Operation Web continues. And the most interesting part, the cherry on top, the attack on Russia's Pacific Fleet. A gas pipeline was blown up in Vladivostok. Parts of the 155th Marine Brigade have been left without gas. The country is coming apart at the seams. The Kremlin is silent. The security forces are disoriented. We'll discuss all this with top analyst Oleksandr Demchenko right now.
Hello, Dasha. Hello, everyone. This is such a sign, such a symbol for Vladimir Putin. It seems to me that soon all of Russia will sink. It's just not clear what into. Maybe even into blood. Maybe even into blood. Or at the hands of Vladimir Putin, or simply, as they say, the belly button will come undone, and in the end, all of Russia will be flooded because of this criminal war. The 155th Brigade?
Yes.
This week is very important for this brigade, isn't it, Dasha? The 155th Brigade, recently the deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet of the Russian Federation, was eliminated literally just days ago by the Ukrainian Armed Forces and Ukrainian Special Services in the Kursk region. In addition, 11 other members of the High Command of the 155th Brigade were also killed after the Ukrainian Armed Forces used HIMARS. It is noteworthy that this Mikhail Gudkov, the deputy commander of the Pacific Fleet and commander of the 155th Brigades, spent many, many years covering up the most terrible crimes that were committed throughout Russia for a very, very long time. Primorye, the 155th Brigade, which killed people in Bucha, Hostomel, and Irpin, carried out massacres here and has already been completely replaced 3 times because Putin has always used it as cannon fodder and continues to do so to this day. So, in Primorye, for those who don't know, these guys, they're considered the most terrifying military unit in all of Russia. The hazing there, Dasha, the hazing is so severe, just so you understand. They behead conscripts there. In Primorye, boys from 18 to 21 years old, they cut off their heads, bury them in the forest, and beat them to death. These are all those thugs. And the whole country knows about this. All of Russia, all of Primorye, and no one does a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Are they afraid of Putin? FSB, some damn unit, some damn 155th Brigade stand up, the whole region? Stand up, just twist their heads off, beat them to death with shovels? That Mikhail Gudkov? Ukraine and the armed forces of Ukraine did the dirty work for them. Just like Israel has now done all the dirty work for Iran. But nevertheless, so for the 155th Brigade, it's a holiday. As for everything else, listen, I warned from the start that the Ukrainian campaign would only escalate the campaign to undermine the current Russian offensive, the summer offensive. It has stalled, the Sumy region has stalled. The southeastern direction is gradually stalling. And we can actually see that what the armed forces of Ukraine, the SBU, the military, and other Ukrainian intelligence agencies are doing right now is a major success. This is extremely important. Right now, all opportunities are being undermined. I wouldn't be surprised if soon Russian Pacific Fleet ships are simply blown up, submarines are sunk, and more fighter jets and bombers are destroyed. They struck Sushko, they struck Engels, they're starting to hit. And do you know why, Dasha? Because if Trump stopped the weapons, now there are no agreements and no obligations. Previously, it was forbidden to strike Russian bases deep inside Russia with American weapons. Do you remember all those bans from Biden or Trump? But now there's nothing. Did you cancel them? You gave Putin the green light. Well, then Ukraine also believes it's been given the green light. That means they can strike and strike everywhere. And there will be strikes on Moscow, on St. Petersburg, on Leningrad region, on Moscow region, on other regions, on Siberia, on Primorye, and so on down the line. For everything that's been done, and I'll say even more, Dasha, I know that in the next 10 days, Malyuk is preparing a terrible response for Kyiv. There will be a terrible retaliation in Russia for Kyiv. Expect surprises. There will be a lot of them in the next 10 days.
Yes, that's a brilliant start to today's Sunday broadcast. Friends, it's July 6th, Sunday. Please like this video. Let us know in the comments what you think about our duo, Sasha plus Dasha. We work twice a week, especially for you, so write lots of interesting things in the comments and also tell us where you're watching from. Sasha, you know what else I was thinking? So yesterday when I was watching this footage while preparing for our broadcast, it all started on Saturday evening with the huge crowds and chaos at the airports in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Everyone is shouting, they're screaming, someone is playing music. It reminded me of Titanic when before dying, they decided to play music and dance. And then communication outages all over the country. But essentially, our drones cause massive chaos at the airports in Russia's 2 largest cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg. So what happens next? How did you see this?
Next come terrorist attacks, Dasha. You mentioned Titanic, so now we need to play Lolita. You see, that famous song from Titanic should be played in every airport, every single day, so they hear it and get used to it. The traitor. But do you understand what the issue is, Dasha? The thing is, after all these calls with Trump, especially, it's unclear who dropped their pants for whom, whether Trump did it for Putin or Putin for Trump and waved around. As Maria Zakharova would put it, to use a language, they're privates. So after that, Putin needs to force events. He needs to escalate. It's obvious that they didn't come to an agreement. Trump and Putin didn't see eye to eye. It's clear that the deal is off. Witka, now bitten in the testicles by a goose, is telling everyone in America that the energy sanctions on Russia need to be lifted. Putin doesn't care. He couldn't care less. In fact, I'll put it even more bluntly. Vladimir Putin doesn't give a damn about the energy sanctions or the fertilizer sanctions. He doesn't care. He never cared about any of it, Dash. He will continue the war. I'll go even further. This is the last summer of the Russian-Ukrainian war. A new, different season is coming. A new stage of the war. A big war is coming. A global war. After the statement by China's top diplomat Wang Yi who said that they will not let Russia lose, and after the statement by Secretary General Rutte, who indicated that if China attacks Taiwan in the near future, she will order Volodya Putin to strike at Europe and attack Europe well. That's it. You can forget about everything else. The war stopped being regional a long time ago, and now it has reached its climax. The war has become global. And next, since Vladimir Putin wants to escalate the situation, to scale it up, and is being pushed to do so by China, he will do the following. He will start carrying out the first bloody crackdowns in Russia. You can already see that the vice president of Transneft fell out of a window, accidentally jumped out the 10th one already.
I think he lived on the 11th floor, but he jumped from the 13th or 17th.
From the 17th, he somehow made it up there, you see. No one knows how he got there. The FSB guys threw him out. That's already the 10th one just in the past few years. The 10th. And just imagine, we wake up in the morning, Lavrov has been arrested, Peskov has fled Moscow with secret documents, Shoigu hanged himself. Can you imagine? Putin climbed into a refrigerator. Or, more precisely, Medvedev climbed into that very same refrigerator instead of Putin, the one from which that Russian propagandist Pasha Zarubin drank kefir, that damn centimeter.
Yes.
So, to continue this thought absolutely seriously, next come terrorist attacks, infighting, and repression. People will be falling out of windows en masse all over Russia. They're already preparing extra train cars heading towards Siberia. Why? Labor camps. Convicts. It all continues. Yuganov. I thought he was dead. I thought he was a goner, that Yuganov was already dead. No. He showed up. The 19th Communist Party Congress, just like Stalin. Stalin died after the 19th. So he came out and said, we need to repeal all these Khrushchev decrees. No, we shouldn't condemn the cult of personality. Stalin is alive and will live on. The order from the Kremlin is this: mass repressions, mass executions, imprisonments, another gulag, bombing Ukraine. He will intensify and scale everything up in the near future. So friends, respond to the siren, respond to all possible warning sounds. But most importantly, Dasha, terrorist attacks across the country, primarily in Moscow and St. Petersburg. For what purpose? Why would he blow up Gum? Or will he blow up Prechistenka, or maybe a stadium, some stadium in the Russian Federation, or even the airports? Let me explain. Because it's necessary to abandon contract mobilization, to give up the contract army. Everything needs to be switched to conscription. Why? Putin is running out of money for the war. He's running out. Now the Americans are going to impose sanctions. With or without Trump, the Americans will impose sanctions. It's also clear that Congress will impose sanctions. Abramovich is already moving his money out of America right now, these very days. The Americans will impose sanctions. The Russian economy will get even worse. It will start to shake. There's already a mess there called a recession. And what happens next? But money is needed for the war. And the defense industry is needed, right? And you need manpower. So where do you get the money? Take it from the manpower, send them to war for free, and transfer everything to CMZ, to Rostec, to Rosoboron. How do you do that? You need to provoke some kind of explosion from within. How do you provoke an explosion? Organize mass terrorist attacks. Will they start blowing up buildings? They'll blow up the Moscow Metro, Ostankino, anything you can think of. Even Red Square along with the mausoleum if they want. He even removed Lenin from the mausoleum, just in case, so he wouldn't be lying there next to it. He closed the mausoleum. They blow up the mausoleum. I don't know, what difference does it make? There will be mass terrorist attacks all over the country, all over Russia. Absolutely everything will be blown up. And then they blame it on Ukraine. That's how they'll start a new phase of the war. In the near future...
Yes, friends, write in the comments what you think about this. This is truly a serious statement. Dasha, I also want to bring up the 12 missiles aimed at the Kerch Bridge, because in the past day there have been huge explosions and panic in Crimea. And I'm subscribed to a Telegram channel related to Crimea. They were constantly reporting on strikes on the Kerch Bridge and breaches of air defense. In general, for us, the Kerch Bridge is an important target for elimination. What will happen if we seriously damage it?
It's important for Putin, because then all of Russia will see that he's exposed, that he can't do anything. Why are there explosions happening in Donetsk right now? Why are missiles flying at Donetsk? At the Donetsk region, because Putin took away the anti-missile, air defense and anti-aircraft systems from there and sent them to Crimea. He completely stripped Donetsk and the Donetsk region of defenses. There were strikes on Kharkiv.
Yes.
The 8th Combined Arms Army was destroyed there, decapitated, left without its generals and coroners. Recently, Ukraine delivered another catastrophic blow to them, to the Russian army. So what? Now Crimea is exposed, or rather Donetsk. And he sent everything to Crimea for protection. Why? He was afraid of the missiles. That the bases of the Black Sea Fleet would be destroyed. That the remaining ships would be destroyed. That everything he had been building there for more than 10 years in the occupied Ukrainian Crimea would be destroyed. They are being driven there like cannon fodder, like a human shield fellow Russians, their own citizens, who, by the way, are actually just like him. It's just unclear who is the extension of whom. Is Putin an extension of Russia, or are Russians an extension of Putin? You see? Because they support all of this. If they were losing, they would be whining and blaming Putin. And now, when Putin is bombing Ukraine, relentlessly bombing Ukraine every single day, and Trump turns a blind eye to it, they rejoice, they celebrate. Just like they cried out in the Kursk region when Putin was bombing them from the air, right? Oh, why is this happening to us? And now, just like in the Rostov region, they're shouting, oh, what do we have to do with this? Why are we being targeted? We supported Prigozhin. We even gave him flowers and sweets when he was marching on Moscow. But when you were sending your soldiers and lining up in streams, in little paths, holding hands, supporting Putin and his troops, who back then marched in uniforms with backpacks to conquer Ukraine, to occupy Kyiv in 3-day scoundrels, you were somehow rejoicing and celebrating. That was when your Russian winter began. And you got smacked in the face, and you keep getting smacked in the face. So now, Ukrainian missiles are striking Crimea. British and French missiles are striking as well. The NATO summit has borne certain fruits. Apparently, the Europeans have given permission to hit Crimea. Putin knows this, but he doesn't have the strength or resources to defend Crimea. If he tries to defend it, this huge Ukrainian peninsula, then he'll have to expose his rear positions. That's why angles, that's why everything else is happening. He decided to direct everything toward Crimea. He sent Itan, got what was coming to him. Ukraine is tracking things very well. Military intelligence, the SBU, other intelligence agencies, foreign intelligence, and so on. They are tracking everything very well. So what is happening in terms of the redeployment of various types of weapons? And they understand perfectly well where a strike can be delivered right now. In the near future, there will be catastrophic strikes. A catastrophic, deadly, and fateful strike against Russia.
Yes, Maliuk and Budanov will soon be sending their regards to the Russian dictator. Friends, we discussed that Borisogledsk has been blown up. A base with guided aerial bombs and Russian aircraft has been destroyed. The Air Force is striking at the heart of Russia's strategic aviation. Yes, bomb depots have also been destroyed and Engels 2 has been attacked. All the repair crews are in chaos. In the past 24 hours, the number of delayed flights across Russia, Moscow, St. Petersburg has exceeded 200. And of course, the widespread internet outages, all of that was caused by the kind Ukrainian drones that Sobyanin is trying to catch with his bare hands. Sasha?
Wait, Dasha. No. We have nothing to do with the internet here. We're not the ones shutting it down. It's those buddies, Sobyanin, Putin, the FSB guys, and all the rest. Why? Because they need Muscovites to know absolutely nothing, so that the capital stays silent and asleep. They've set records. They've already, shut down the internet in key cities and regions of Russia about 100 times over the past year, if not more. So they've just gotten used to it and are now turning it into a whole campaign. Why are they doing this? One day, the internet will disappear in Russia. Russia will curl up into a ball, into a cocoon, and fall into a lethargic sleep. And even a flood won't help. And everyone will sleep through the flood. A bloody flood called Putin. Putin?
Yes.
He'll bomb everyone.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism, and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Well, you really did remember the flood in St. Petersburg. I actually made 2 videos about it on my YouTube channel. Friends, check them out. But this is the first time in 160 years something like this has happened to Petersburg. For the first time in 160 years, there's been a hurricane, a flood, and Petersburg is going underwater. What a delight.
Let him open his beloved Pushkin and read The Bronze Horseman. In the end, everyone there went mad. That awaits him too at the end of Vladimir Putin's path. Dmitry Lovich Bykov, says that he will disappear. But I say, first he'll go mad and then he'll disappear right before our eyes.
I hope that his daughters, who are working on prolonging his youth and life, will inject him with some drug that will make him vanish. They'll just mix something up. Because as I understand it, he's involved. I mean, I think that Putin is actually growing organs for himself for future transplants. As far as I can tell, that's what he's doing at this Sogas clinic.
I don't know what organs he's growing there. But Dasha, listen, maybe he needs other organs too, but listen. I think he has two candidates for that. And he doesn't even need to take anything from himself. No genes, nothing. There's Shoigu, there's Medvedev. Just mummify them, preserve them, and take Shoigu's cheeks for yourself. Why pay money? Why spend money on all that plastic surgery? Injecting himself with Botox or whatever else he's using? So Shoigu's cheeks, Medvedev's butt, and I don't know, Gerasimov's hair. Just take all of that and put it together for yourself. What difference does it make? After all, people in the provinces don't even know what Vladimir Putin really looks like. A monster from Obla, you know? That's all there is to it.
By the way, we haven't discussed the situation yet. Right now, we're talking about Azerbaijan and Russia. Will this have serious consequences now? When in fact, I've watched Russian propagandists saying that Azerbaijan, that Baku is a Russian city, which, as I understand it, means they're already preparing for a large-scale war. What is all this leading to, Sash?
It's one thing for them to talk nonsense, Dasha. They're filling the base in Armenia, in Gyumri, with tanks and weapons. Right now, Putin's military is urgently searching for more intelligence. Mercenaries, they're staffing army units there, forming platoons and so on, even brigades. There in Gyumri, they're increasing the number of troops at the expense of the occupied territories. From Ossetia, from Abkhazia, from elsewhere, basically, from the Caucasus. Why is he doing this?
Why?
Let me explain. Right now, a NATO-based Turkish is about to be established in Azerbaijan. But Turkey is a NATO member, the second strongest army in the alliance after the Americans. So there will be the Turkish army in Azerbaijan. And now, under the protection of Erdogan and Macron, the Armenians and Azerbaijanis have decided to sign a peace treaty. This needs to be disrupted. And Aliyev needs to be put in his place. What do you think? That he forgave? That quiet, non-public apology over the phone, which he gave to Aliyev, Ilham Aliyev, after the crash in December of last year, 2024, in the skies over Chechnya of the Azerbaijani passenger plane that was flying to Kazakhstan and was shot at, as we know, according to the wiretap released by the Azerbaijani Special Services on the orders of the top command of the Ministry of Defense to fire at Azerbaijan. The order was given, and they fired. And they fired.
Yes.
And people died. I think the order was also given to fire at MH17. Just as brazenly and cynically, the highest military leadership of Russia gave the order to shoot to kill. And they fired. So I will not forgive Aliyev for this. Sasha, have you heard the information? I can't vouch for its verification, that at the moment when the Azerbaijan Airlines plane was attacked, the number one plane carrying the leader of Azerbaijan was also in the air. And he thought that they wanted to eliminate him. I heard this information from my guest during a broadcast on my YouTube channel, Dasha Seribaya. I don't think Putin wanted to eliminate Aliyev. If I remember correctly, at that time, a meeting between Putin and Aliyev was planned. I could be mistaken here, but...
He was in there at that moment, his plane, when this tragedy happened, this...
Well, maybe. But I still think that Putin, even though he's crazy, he might want to eliminate Aliyev. Listen, Dasha, what do I really understand?
Yes.
I understand that, first of all, Putin is starting a campaign to destroy all those leaders of the former Soviet republics who get in his way and who don't want to reintegrate into Russia's sphere. That's the first thing. Aliyev has long since slipped out of control and he has shifted to Erdogan's side. They have a joint army with Turkey, joint intelligence, a joint navy, joint air force, everything is shared. Even construction projects are joint. And it's obvious that for now, Erdogan doesn't want to get directly involved in a military conflict with Putin. But after Aliyev just outright exposed the FSB agents, FSB officers, colonels, lieutenant colonels there in Baku, who were working under the guise of journalists, propagandists for Margarita Simonyan and the Sputnik outlet. After that, he has to show that he is capable of taking tough revenge, to demonstrate a response, to strike back. And what needs to be done for that? It's necessary to escalate the situation to the maximum. The problem is that when Vladimir Putin starts escalating the situation, he can't stop, you see? So essentially, this means that ultimately there is a threat that Russia's tanks will move on back. But then he will get a harsh response when Turkish fighter jets destroy the Crimean Russian bases on the territory of Crimea. That will happen 100%. Putin doesn't have a second army. And the Turkish army is not the army of some insignificant European country. This is an army that has seen multiple combat operations in the Middle East and Africa and knows how to provide support. It's the army that helped Aliyev reclaim Nagorno-Karabakh. This is an army that has been fighting for decades and has enormous combat experience with technologies that Putin couldn't even dream of. American technologies are the best in the world. And I'm more than certain, by the way, the Azerbaijani army has Israeli technologies, which are among the best in the world. So if Putin starts something, as always, it will be a major struggle and a major war. And Putin will lose this war here.
This is very important. And you know, Sash, when we talk about the Pacific Fleet, about you blowing up the gas pipeline there, I thought that most likely there are a huge number of SBU sleeper agents on Russian territory, because carrying out such special operations so far from the border with Ukraine, well, this is serious.
The main sleeper agent, now I'll say his name, ours.
Go on, go on.
The main SBU sleeper agent on Russian territory is Vladimir Rudolfovich Solovyov. Very soon, I'm sure, Malik will charge him up with something Ukrainian explosives, a drone or something else. And at the next award ceremony with Putin, everything will blow up along with the Kremlin and with Putin himself. The main sleeper agent is Vladimir Solovyov. He's all about the money, all about the money. So honestly, buying him off is a piece of cake. He's been bought a long time ago, charged up a long time ago, and has been ready for anything for a long time. You understand? Vladimir Solovyov. Not long ago, he was even ready to defend Israel with weapons. Then, of course, he forgot about that promise. But I think the main agent Ukraine has over there is, of course, Solovyov. I'm joking, obviously, friends.
Okay.
But you never know. Someone might actually think that Solovyov has long been recruited by the Ukrainian SBU.
Friends, that was some hard trolling sarcasm. That's just the kind of sarcastic show we have, yes?
Yes. So, Dasha, here's what I want to say. I want to say that really over there in Russia, there are a huge number, like you said, sleepers, sleeper agents, and so on, partisans. And many American publications wrote about this. They wrote and were very surprised. American and British intelligence were very surprised because it turned out that the Ukrainians had infiltrated much more effectively. Ukrainian agents have infiltrated everything, the entire Russian intelligence, all the security agencies, the Kremlin, and so on and so forth. Because as it turns out, over the decades, people have made contacts, and I've always worked in the interest of Ukraine, not Russia. And this is a big problem. What happened, the spiderweb operation happened because there are these kinds of sleeper agents. What happened with the Pacific Fleet and continues to happen is also because there are such sleeper agents. Ukraine has thousands of sleeper agents in Russia. I'm afraid to imagine what would happen if they all woke up at once. And I think that's the goal now, to make sure they all wake up. I think such a task will be set, yes. And then there will be a boom. Yes, that's how you usually say it. There will be a big boom all across Russia.
By the way, dear audience, people always ask why I use that word. Friends, if you're a fan of quality cinema, there's a brilliant film called The Fifth Element by Luc Besson, where the main character, the fifth element who saved the whole world, used to say this phrase, boom bada boom. That's where it's from. Because everyone is curious about why it's pronounced that way. Sasha, regarding the boom bada booms, here's something else I want to discuss with you. So we see that Donald Trump has, for the first time, said that he's dissatisfied with Putin. In general, this kind of rhetoric is rather strange for him. Their honeymoon, their homoerotic relationship, is being discussed by the whole world. Does this mean that soon American deep penetration bombs will attack Putin's bunker, or not just yet?
It means that Donald Trump will soon have to give Ukraine everything, because there is no other option left here. But on the day of his national holiday, on the holiday, the 249th anniversary of America's founding, Putin recently said that he was the one who created America for Trump. Did you not see that? Did you not hear the transcript of that idiotic statement that it was Russia who created America, as he said? So the 249th anniversary, Putin pissed his pants, took them off in front of Trump, waved his junk around, and slapped Trump across the face with it. And he did it publicly. Because right after the phone call, which Trump was unhappy about, Putin went and carried out one of the largest strikes across all of Ukraine, including Kyiv. And he struck everywhere he could, even hitting the Polish consulate just to show the Europeans that he didn't care about anyone, not Trump, not the Europeans. And after that, of course, Trump has no idea what to do. He's unhappy with the conversation. But what did he expect? Did he think Putin would listen to him? Number, did he think China would turn its back on Putin? No. We all saw who is orchestrating the war, who is the main player in this war. Did he think that Putin would back down and say, all right, lift the sanctions off me and I'll agree to everything? I'll sign any agreement, arrangement, memorandum, and so on with Ukraine and Zelensky? Number, but there was a condition, as far as I understand. Russia has publicly stated this, that if America stops helping Ukraine and Western, especially American, weapons stop flowing into Ukraine, then they're ready to sit down at the negotiating table and there will be peace. Where is this peace? Are Putin and Zelensky holding negotiations in Geneva tomorrow? Signing a peace treaty together with Trump? Without Trump? With whom? Nothing of the sort is going to happen. Vladimir Putin has no such plans. But whether Trump wants it or not, right now he's thinking about the Patriots. Now everyone is blaming that poor, half-drunk, washed-up defense minister, the Fox News journalist, who for the third time has gotten himself into some very strange situations. So it's clear that it was Trump who made this decision. But there is pressure from Americans, from the American elite, from the American media, pressure from American industrialists in the defense industry, pressure from American financiers, and pressure from congressmen and senators. And Trump was left not just in the minority, but one-on-one. And on top of that, he's got Elon Musk right next to him, a madman, just like him, who's creating a new party and wants to snatch power away from Trump. So what is he supposed to do? He urgently needs to become a benevolent hawk and help Ukraine. And very soon, we'll see all the missiles that will be sent to Ukraine. Yes, they wanted to organize this pause against Ukraine and the Europeans together. Yes, Trump plans to pull out of Europe and Ukraine and hand over this entire vast territory of the European bloc, the European continent, to Putin. Why? Let me explain. Because everyone will be fighting in Europe, and Trump will be the one sponsoring it all, selling weapons to everyone, giving out money, trading with everyone, and destroying Europe, which he sees as his main geopolitical competitor. Not China, not Russia. He considers Europe to be his main rival on the planet. But in the near future, Trump's plans will be neutralized and collapse. Of course, we are facing difficult times ahead. Naturally, the situation will be turbulent. Obviously, everything we are witnessing right now is very complicated. Putin will take advantage of, or rather try to take advantage of, this window of opportunity. But he has little time, no money, and big problems. And on top of everything else, Dasha, hellish sanctions will soon be imposed. Whether Trump wants it or not. And Putin definitely won't get off easy.
My God, that's just a wonderful ending. Friends, now Oleksandr Demchenko and I are releasing episodes twice a week, on Tuesdays and Sundays on my YouTube channel, and on Wednesdays and Mondays on Dmitry Gordon's YouTube channel. So you're welcome. Join us. Write in the comments everything you think about this, about our tandem, our duo, and everything you think about Sasha Demchenko's suggestions. Sasha, the final word is yours. Thank you. Say something to our audience to wrap up.
Friends, hang in there. Everything will be all right. Putin won't take our hope away. Glory to Ukraine. See you next time. Bye.
Glory to the heroes.